So, first thing to get us start off with today's lecture, we're going to be looking at the atom and bonding. So the larger sequence of what we're doing here is we're going to be looking at we're going to start with looking at atoms and bonding. Then we're going to go over the definition of a mineral, and then how we classify minerals, and then we're going to spend our lab period looking at common rock-formed minerals and some of the rocks which contain those minerals. So when we're looking at anything making up the Earth, the first thing we need to think about is the atom. Atoms contain three particles, and here's where, if you're taking notes, you'll want to take down some notes. Atoms contain three major particles. The first one is particles. The blue one is a proton. A proton has a mass of 1 and a charge that is positive. So you have all these positively charged protons, and you have one of them in, at least one in every atom. Now most atoms also have a neutron. What does the particle do? 1, it adds mass to the atom. 2, it kind of acts as a glue, because if you positively charge protons, two objects with the same charge are going to tend to repel one another. And the neutron glue strength, the sort of strong force in that neutron, will overcome that repulsion and keep the atomic interior stable. Now, the third particle that balances these charges is your electron. Electrons are tiny, tiny, tiny particles, much tinier than the neutrons, but they move very fast, and they have a charge. Every electron has a charge of exactly -1. So if you look at an atom, you would see that the electron orbits the nucleus in kind of this cloud pattern. Now, what we mean by cloud pattern is that, like, the area around which this orbits is over 100,000 times the diameter of the nucleus itself. So this is a very large orbit around a very, very tiny, tiny center in what's already a very, very tiny object to begin with. And the reason that we have this cloud here is we don't actually know precisely where the electron is for any given atom at any time. It's moving so small and moving so fast that Heisenberg's uncertainty principle kicks in. For the purpose of this class, if all atoms did was have charges and everything, we'd be perfectly happy. However, because we want to have interesting compounds, most of what we look at is made of 2 or more atoms bonded together. And so, the way bonding works, there's a couple ways to think about this. If you have so electrons tend to orbit in these clouds, and the goal of chemical bonding is to, 1, keep the charges balanced, and 2, keep the outermost electron cloud full. So the way this works, for example, if you have 2 chlorine atoms in this case, they're going to be missing their outermost, they're going to have 7 atoms in their outermost cloud. Their outermost cloud will have room for 8 electrons. So if each of these chlorine atoms were to work together and share their electrons, you would get share their electrons in their outermost cloud. They would bond together, you'd get something called a covalent bond. Now in the next little lesson, you're going to be looking at ionic bonds.